Good afternoon, baseball fans, and welcome back to Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. Don't be fooled by the fancy name. It's just me and some baseball cards. Recording in the afternoon today because I need to do this SGC reveal because I need to use the cards for next weekend. So anyway, it's a 13-card SGC submission. And I guess the reason it's 13 is because it doesn't have to be 20 anymore, and that's what I had ready to go. So good news about SGC, a couple of things. One is that any card with declared value under $1,500 is now a $15 grading fee, and there is no limitations. So when I was doing, I guess it was 17 or 20, it had to be a minimum of 20 cards. There's no minimum number of cards, which is the good news. The other good news about SGC is this, which they included in the return sub. It's their new app, the new SGC app, which I downloaded and started using this weekend. Super easy to use. Really looks a lot like the website. So if you're familiar with SGC's website, this app is just going to be natural for you. And honestly, it's one of the better apps for a new one that I've ever downloaded. But of course, they're still missing the number one feature that I would like to have, which is a registry for my set, my 48 Bowman set. Anyway, so 13 cards, really 12 vintage. The other one's a modern card that I don't even want to talk about since I sent it in and it didn't get anywhere near the grade. They gave me the two bigger cards in this little bubble wrap thing. So let's start with these, and then I'll pull up the grades. I know some viewers said to me, and they were right, don't have the screen be your grade predictions and have the cards be tiny little things on the side. So I took that to heart, and so we'll show the cards prominently instead of my grade predictions, although I will show the grade predictions too. So here are two cards that were oversized. So some reused bubble wrap, some reused rubber bands. First one I'm going to show is going to be important because I need to talk about it. You'll see it again in about 3 days. This is the Sam Rosen and Deering. I'm not Sam Rosen, Al Rosen. Sam Rosen's the announcer for the Rangers. This is Al Rosen. I'm doing an Al Rosen show on Saturday with a guest that I'm very excited about. And this is the reason why we set it up for this weekend, is because I finally got this back. This is the 1955 doubleheader. The 3, a little bit above what I expected, which is cool. So happy about that one. And then this is the 2-card panel from Burke Ross, 1951. As I've said a number of times, I'm working on this set. So happy to get this back. 5 is exactly the grade that I expected. So happy about that one too. So here's the box. I'm going to take off the little sticky, which unfortunately would not be reused. So I reused the one on the plastic right here. They give you a nice box that you can use to store raw cards, or ungraded cards, as some people like to talk about them. And so here we go. Here's the stack. So I'll start off, just briefly show the grade predictions. Where are they? Here we go. All right. So they don't give it to you in order. So this first card is number 11. It's a 1969 Roberto Clemente. I bought from a friend on Twitter. I expected 4 to 5. I needed a 5 for it to justify the price I paid plus the grading fee with its value. But the good news for me is didn't just get a 5, I got a 6. So this is also going to replace my PSA 4.5 of this card, which I will be selling on Twitter tomorrow, which is another reason I needed to do this. So that's cool. This card, see if we can do it this way. You can't really see the grades at that point. So this card is going to be number 4 here. It's a 1951 Bowman Sam Jethro. I bought this in a big lot. I'm selling off a lot of the cards in the lot. Others I used to fill my 52 Bowman set. There were some 51s in here, and Jethro, of course. This was the last card I needed to do the Sam Jethro show, which I will be doing soon. So this got a 4.5, as you can see. Let me go back. Number 4, Sam Jethro. I expected 2 to 3, hoping for 3, praying for 4. Got a 4.5. And now the reason this card got a 4.5, I think, is because the centering is outstanding and the color is really good. But the registration's off a little bit, and the corners are a little soft, particularly the top right and the bottom left. So that's why I expected like a 3, but 4.5 is beautiful. So that's going into my Jethro PC, and that will be seen by everybody soon. This next card is the 1949, they call it 48, 49, but it's 49 Leaf Bob Elliott. This card is interesting because I bought it, I overpaid for it. It's number 3 up there. If you see, I predicted an A or a 3, and the reason I predicted an A was because I noticed the right border when I got home. Looked like it was miscut or maybe poorly factory cut, or worst case, trimmed. I didn't think the card was trimmed because it measured right. I just thought it was a factory flaw, and it might get an A as a result of that. It didn't, but it ended up getting a 4. I said A or 3, and it ended up getting a 4. Let me just show you this card, how sharp this is. This is a super sharp card. Like I said, the problem was the border. The reason it didn't get above a 4, and one of the problems is because there is what looks like, I don't think this is staining. I think this is like an ink, like a red ink thing, probably in the factory. And there is some red in this card, as you can see, around his belt area. And of course, he's plays for the Braves, which had red. This Bob Elliott was the 1947 MVP. I have a 48, obviously, and a 49 Leaf I wanted to get. It's going to be part of my 1948 Braves collection, which we will do a show on. This is the first of the disappointments in this. I got this Heine Manouche, was in a big set break by Vintage Breaks. They did the whole 33 Gaudy set. And I hit the Manouche, who is obviously a Hall of Famer. It was really nicely centered and didn't have any major wear or staining or anything. So I had predicted 3 to 4. I realistically expected a 4. But look, they got a 2. And I'm still not sure why. I'm going to have to take a better look at this. There's a little bit of sort of creasing in the corner where sometimes you get a soft corner that has a little creasing on it. But I don't see any reason why this is not higher than a 2. Oh, well. I'll take a closer look at it. This was also a disappointment. It's the 1956 Carl Furillo. This will be the last slab in my Furillo collection. It's number 10 on this list. Carl Furillo, 4 to 5. I literally did expect the 5. So, I mean, this isn't terribly low. It got the 4, which I was surprised because this also nicely centered, nice corners. The edges are a little like rough, but that's like typical 56. So I didn't really see this as anything below a 5. I mean, a 4 is in the ballpark. But anyway, so that's Carl Furillo. This is his 1956 tops, as you can see. And the little bonus there is that is Yogi Berra. And I have a little story on that when we do the Furillo show in a few weeks. This is the modern card that I'm not even going to talk about. This one was also in the same 33 set break, but look, it got a 3. And the odd thing about this is I think the Manouche is better quality. I expected in the Ben Chapman 2 to 3, and it got the 3. I actually thought it was going to get a 2 because the corners are a little softer. And I don't see any issues with this one either, that, like, no staining, no creasing. But I thought 3 because the corners were an issue. Next card was much higher than I expected. 1956 Willie Mays. It got to 2.5. Honestly, I was hoping for a 2. a little bit of a praying for a 2 because as you can see, there's a corner right there that's pretty rough. The corners are rounded, but there's no creases. What's nice about this card is the color is good. Registration is really good. No creases, just weak corners. Nothing major on the back. So as you can see, in the Willie Mays, it's number 9 on this list. I said 1 to 2, which I thought was pretty obvious. But the 2.5, very happy. Similarly, in a similar way, this 1956 Hank Aaron also thought it was going to be a 1 or a 2 because, as you can see, the corners are rounded. It has, in fact, kind of pretty rounded. But again, no creases. Color is strong. Registration is strong. I bought this raw at a Philly show a few years ago for, I think it was $90, which at the time was a pretty good buy even for a raw 1-ish, but now it's a 2. So got a little bump in value when I eventually do upgrade that card. This is a little bit of a disappointment. This card is a card I'm going to sell now because I have a 4. I thought this could 5. I expected, as you can see, Minnie Minoso. Where is he on the list? He is number 7. I said 3 to 4. I actually thought 4 was rock solid and it could actually do better than that. But the 2 things about this Minoso that I noticed when I looked at the high-res scans, there's a little bit of, you can't really see it. You won't be able to see it, but there's a little bit of like a wrinkle in here. It's not a crease because you can't see it on the front. And then there's a tiny little bit of spotting right here. So that's where the 3 came instead of the 4 or 5. But I'm going to be selling this card tomorrow night. And the final one, which was actually a good number for me, I thought this was going to underperform, but it didn't. It's the 1953 Bowman Whitey Ford, a card I've had raw for quite some time. Thought about grading it a bunch of times. Finally, now that I'm going for the full graded set, I figured might as well send this one in instead of trying to get, an upgrade. And it was a good decision because, like I said, I was happy with this Whitey Ford. Where is he? He's number 6 on this list. I said 2 to 3, and it got to 4. I think part of the reason I thought the 3 was because of the, let me show here. If you can see at the top, 2 corners are a little rounded. Bottom is a little less rounded. I think one of the edges, it's the top edge, has a little stuff going on here. So I thought 3 was the best I was going to do. But 4, I'm very happy with it. Of course, this goes in the full Bowman collection. So good news for the channel is that I'm going to have the Al Rosen show on Saturday with a special guest. And then I'm also going to have the Sam Usual Super Collector I tried to have a few months ago when he had some personal issues that he may or may not want to talk about, mostly just family stuff. But at this point, he's ready to go. So we're going to be doing a lot of guests in the future. There are going to be fewer episodes where it's just me and baseball cards. It's going to be me and guests and baseball cards. So thanks for tuning in again, and make sure you tune in again on Saturday. Take care.